The Phoenix Suns threw a return punch in their ongoing rivalry with the Dallas Mavericks, scoring a massive road win in the Lone Star State to get even with the Mavs on the season and show us what this team is capable of as they rattle off win number 7 in a row. We'll break it down on today's episode of Locked On Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we're back. This is Locked On Phoenix Suns. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Brendon Kleen, a credentialed media member covering the Suns for the past 7 seasons, a writer at Suns.com, and the host of the Just Basketball Show, wherever you get your podcasts. A big thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen. Post-game on a Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The Suns get their 7th W in a row. We're here to break it down. Thank you for joining us. We're free and available everywhere, including YouTube, so hit that follow or subscribe button on whatever platform you happen to be finding us on. We will get you an episode Monday through Friday. So become an everydayer, get locked onto the Suns right along with me all season long, only by hitting that button. Free every day. Content for you. 132-109 was the final score. Again, 7 straight W's. Sweet revenge against the Dallas Mavericks. Joining us to talk about it is Brandon Dueñas. He is a writer over at Bright Side of the Sun. A bonus appearance from Brandon this week as we, just too good of a win to celebrate solo. So Brandon is here. We're going to start out the show a little bit differently today. I tweet out every single post game a nice little graphic of somebody on the team who played well, maybe played poorly, final score, and I ask for 7-word or less game takes. I used to read them on the show. I've gotten away from that. I'm going to do it again, and then Brandon and I are each going to give ours before we talk about why the Suns won this game. My favorite comes from, well, there's a few I can't read, Brandon, if I'm being honest with you. But I'm going to go with Antoine at MegaGiants89. He said, revenge and Devin Booker is special. Sometimes you just need the simplicity. But what is your 7-word or less game take for us to kick off the show?
Yeah, so I only need six words for mine. First of all, what a win. But I'm just going to start with unlimited firepower and what we all envisioned. So that's all I really got to say right there is this team could be down 20, 15. It doesn't matter. They got that firepower.
Mine is Devin Booker doesn't need the record. Doesn't need seven threes. He doesn't need to get there. I'm tired of waiting for it. I'm tired of hoping for it. Just keep scoring 45 plus, and you can have however many threes you want, Book. That's my take on it.
Where are we at now? What is that?
How many games he's had? 6? I don't even know. It feels like 100. Here's my thing. Let's start there, though, because we're talking about why the Suns won this game. Devin Booker, I think, has to be the answer first and foremost here. I thought Josh Green actually played decent defense on him in the first half. I thought that he got into a rhythm early against Derek Lively in drop coverage. I kind of thought that would happen. Talked about it on the audio exclusive preview show that I did on Wednesday afternoon. So I have the receipts there. But he figures this stuff out. So obviously the Mavs didn't keep Lively out there getting cooked for too long. He only played 25 minutes in this one. But then it was switching. And then it was Kleba. And between the Mavs not being able to help off the Suns' best players, or even guys like Grayson Allen and others all that much, and Book just getting comfortable, they really stood no chance. Midway through that third quarter on, Book just kind of closed the, pun intended here, book on the game.
Yeah, and I just looked it up, actually. Shout out to RB on Twitter. Some of you will know him. 23 games with 6 3-pointers for Booker now.
I was close with 100, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's insane. So, but yeah, I think Booker's ability, like, he's like a faucet. Once the water comes out, it's just going to keep running. When he gets going offensively, like, the net looks huge to him, and he just can't miss. So I think whenever he gets in those modes, it's fun to watch. We saw him do that against the Pelicans, not too long ago, and then had a little bit of an off night, but bounces back in a hostile environment. We all know Mavericks fans do not like Devin Booker, and he was definitely hearing it early and often, but he rose to the occasion.
We'll get to the chippiness in this one, but I would say, look, I mean, you mentioned the Pelicans game, right? It's pretty similar. I thought in the last little bit of that game, Booker just completely I clipped a couple of these makes that Booker had, and Dyson Daniels was in hell. Dyson Daniels was red-cheeked, out of breath, looked like his eyes were just permanently going to be spinning because he had no concept of where Book was, what Book was going to be doing to him, and whatever. And it did sort of feel like that in this game when he's the epitome of a 3-level scorer. And when he's in a rhythm like this, we can joke about the threes, but I say it every time. When he is aggressive with that shot, especially pulling up from mid-range, it kind of just completes the package, and there's really nothing else to do. And I think the other thing to just shout out, and we can get to your other reason why they won this game, because it wasn't just Book. I should say this was the closest I feel like we've seen to 2023 playoffs Book in this regular season yet. And what I mean by that is the decisiveness. He scored in transition a ton in this game, and it just felt like every single time that he crossed half court, he knew what he was going to be doing, where the help was, where the defense was, if he had a mismatch, if he could go after Luka, whatever. And obviously, the results speak for themselves. But what did you have for why the Suns won this game?
Yeah, so I'm going to go somewhere completely just off the charts here, off the wall, and just go with Josh Okogie. I think that first stint was horrible. He kind of stalled the offense, and it was not pretty. But he definitely bounced back in a huge way, and I think was a massive reason they, just from a momentum standpoint, they strung together some stops, and it started with his energy, picking up Luka, full court, just disrupting, causing, I think there's like 3 straight turnovers by Dallas at one point, and the Suns need those stops. They need to stack those stops, and it started with Josh Okogie tonight. I think he was like a plus 15 or something off the bench, a bench team that's been struggling, to say the least. So I think the spark he provided was massive, and obviously they don't win without Booker just going nuclear, but I think Okogie really helped kind of shift the momentum, and that's the type of impact you need from those back-end guys.
2 things on Okogie. One, defensively, absolutely right. I think disrupting the flow of Luka is kind of the best way to put it, right? He had 34, 8, and 9. You're not going to quiet him down, but I would say 4 of 11 from deep, big difference from the last game, and 5 turnovers. I tweeted this. One of my nerdy, deep basketball tweets got some love today. I was very impressed with myself there, but that you guard Jokic, just to pick the 2 guys who have eliminated the Suns the past 2 years, you guard Jokic trying to make him score, you guard Luka trying to make him pass, right? And when you do that, he's more susceptible to mistakes because he likes to throw it all around the court. He does lose focus at times. He can lose track of the help at times, and you can see that trickle down. So that was big. But the way that these tie together, mine and yours, a big part of why they were able to attack Luka, and Book in particular was able to attack Luka, is because they used Okogie as a screener really, really well. And not just rolling to the basket where he's suddenly in a crowd and he's not a good finisher or that great of a passer and you can run into problems, but flaring out, pretty much just popping. And it felt like Dallas was treating him as a shooter. I don't really know why. They were still sending the switch help or the switch defender back to him to meet him behind the arc as if he was going to bomb away from 3 rather than just keeping 2 on Book. And Book was like, great, now I have exactly what I want, and went right at Luka and got a ton of points that way. So I think figuring out some different ways to use Okogie on offense was huge too, rather than just crossing your fingers that he makes those corner threes. Yeah,
Okogie's a wild card. Him and Bol to me are the 2 guys that, am I guaranteeing they're going to make the playoff rotation? Absolutely not. But from a matchup standpoint, like there's let's say they somehow face the Warriors in some weird scenario, just chasing a guy like Steph around, the Mavericks with Luka, just having that point of attack guy that's just everywhere. And they don't have that. So I think that's where he's going to get a chance. I don't know how he's going to take it and run with it, or if it's going to end up being, 6 minutes and then just doesn't play the rest of the game. So to me, just definitely encouraging, and I hope he can build off it. That being said, the Suns still need to go find some help on that bench, but overall encouraging night.
Absolutely. In addition to an incredible Booker performance, some of these tactical adjustments and everything else. Obviously, it just feels very sweet to beat the Dallas Mavericks, I think. So we'll break down what this game really showed us, big picture about this matchup, about this team, and more. First, today's show brought to you by Grammarly. When it comes to writing, Grammarly is there to support you from start to finish. I write literally constantly, whether that is articles for my day job or notes for this show or emails to people trying to set up interviews and different things. And there's nothing more embarrassing. I know, like, we could talk about all the time of editing yourself and all that stuff, but when you do let one slip through the cracks, it's absolutely embarrassing. So if you need to polish your writing, Grammarly can help paraphrase and rewrite your work to be more concise instantly. Simply select the text that you want to rewrite within your browser and give Grammarly a prompt. You can then say something like improve it, shorten it, clean it up, whatever the case may be, and Grammarly gets to work. If you have a big presentation coming up, maybe an important email, maybe you're a writer. No, probably not, but we all use this stuff in our everyday life. The best part is that it's free to use. Start being more productive, I should say, at work. Get more productive. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to save time. Download it for free today. That's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast. Today's show also brought to you by Prize Picks, the best place to play daily fantasy sports because it's completely different than the other daily fantasy sports games. And here's why. There is no head-to-head. There is no pool. There is no league. Prize Picks simply sets a projection. You go more or you go less than that projection, and you watch the money come in almost up to 25 times your initial entry on any one play. You can also take advantage of Prize Picks Specials League this time of year, where let's get away from the Bay Area example that I've been using. Let's talk about Detroit. I believe Cade Cunningham should be coming back soon. I don't know if it'll be in time for this week. And maybe you go Jaden Ivey. Maybe you go Jaden Ivey assists plus Jared Goff passing touchdowns. There you go. You go more, of course, because you're optimistic. And there you go. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types, plus the wonderful things I've already discussed, all make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's not close it out. Let's keep it rolling, Brandon. We have to talk about how much fun this one was. And I will let you kick us off. What did this win mean to you when you think about the big picture of the season, of this rivalry, of this team right now as the win streak continues? What comes to mind about what this one really means?
I mean, it just goes back to what I said from the start. This is what we all envisioned, like straight up when we got this big three, is just selfless basketball. And, you know, they're with stars that are just playing off each other and letting each other take turns getting hot, and just seeing them develop chemistry this quick. And I mean, it's 7 wins in a row in a season where we were just talking about, like, a couple of weeks ago, like, we weren't sure if the Suns were going to make the playoffs. So it's been quite the dramatic shift, I would say, in terms of just how it just shows you how quick the NBA can change. Like, I mean, especially in the regular season, and why staying patient is important. So I think this is just another statement win, and they've had a few of those already in this 7-game win streak. So it's a long season. It's been a grind. So thank you to everyone who's stuck with us through the mud. Like, it's been an absolute roller coaster, and an underground roller coaster at times. It's even gone below surface level. So, I mean, it's now that we're back up on top, we just got to really enjoy.
That's optimistic that you're imagining a roller coaster setup where there's like a perfectly crafted hole in the ground. I think most times it just crashes.
Oh, it crashed. We all had to, exit the crash and get back on a new one. So now we're rising back up. So that's the kind of season it's been. But
it feels like it crashed right around the last time these two teams played, if I'm being honest. That was kind of the low point. I was reminiscing about that today, looking forward to this one. I was like, man, it felt pretty bad on Christmas. They did not give up. They gave us coal, I think.
Yeah, they wasted a Grayson Allen masterclass, and it was rough. But we're back, so got to enjoy it. The little wins.
Absolutely. Okay, mine is, and it might not be immediately obvious. what this win meant to me is that Frank Vogel was a good hire. All right, so I was going back and forth. I wanted to just say what this win showed us is that the Suns have answers to different things, right? And we can talk about some of those. But in my opinion, most of the time you attribute that to the coach from a game plan standpoint, from an adjustment standpoint. That's what the coach's involvement in a win is. And I think Vogel really showed that today. I think sticking with Okogie, not maybe going away from him in the second half after, like you said, his first quarter was bad. His second quarter is a little better, but you could have just said, okay, screw it. Luka's going off again. We need to figure something else out. He stuck with it. They made adjustments about how Okogie was playing rather than going away from him. Using Okogie as a screener, using Bates Diop as a screener. Even just sort of the setup of, and maybe this isn't fully Vogel, but the setup of the offense, the setup of kind of who had the ball and what the spacing looked like in order to limit the ability of Dallas to go to its preferred thing of just getting the ball out of the Stars' hands all the time. Because the thing is, Book went off in a lot of these lineups where the other guys weren't even on the court. And so they could have gotten the ball out of his hands. I think, the kind of structure of everything was a part of that. And also attacking Luka in the first place, I think you would have to say goes a long way. There were just so many things, and maybe it's because of how scarring that postseason matchup was 2 years ago, Brandon, but to me, the fact that they were trying so many things in one game here that they wouldn't do over 7 in that playoff series, I was like, it's a great day to, give some praise to Frank Vogel. He is showing what you brought him in for, which is to be more adventurous, more experimental, more decisive than, the guy in Detroit who lost like 45 games in a row or whatever it was this year.
Look, you're only saying that because he's interacting with you on Twitter. Now that there's a new parody account, but no, I agree.
Guy,
I think between that,
I'm not sure. Sometimes he makes me think he may actually be the guy, and then he tweets during games, and then it's like, okay, you're not you're doing yourself any favors there. But no, he was. I think Vogel had one of his better games today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good takeaway. I think another one I would add to mine is like the Suns, no, they do not need a point guard. Like it'd be nice for the bench unit to have one, I think, in the regular season. But I think everything we've seen, especially during this win streak and since Beal's returned, points to they're just fine. Their offense will be just fine. You don't want to take the ball out of their stars' hands. I still think another move needs to be made, but point guard's not at the top of my list. I mean, if we're getting greedy, sure, yeah, I would take another point guard. But at the same time, I think this run solidifies the fact that they've got everything they need. They just need to kind of stay healthy and just make a couple moves on the edges.
I thought Durant and Beal, they had 7 assists each, so 14 combined and only 3 turnovers combined. The Suns had a lot of turnovers tonight, but not a lot, 15. Durant says 15's fine, so I'll go with him, but you might like that number to be lower. Either way, only Nurkic had more than 2 individually. That's a side note. But I think the passing from Durant and Beal on a night when Book was hot shows you exactly what you're talking about, right? That it can morph and adjust and manipulate itself from game to game, from moment to moment, and that is it's no longer like theoretical that we're just all kind of hoping for the best case scenario. They're kind of proving it where they can do that. And I thought the pass, I don't remember, I think it was second or third quarter, the crazy entry or outlet pass that Beal had at one point in this game to Booker for a breakaway layup, I was like, man, if they have kind of the confidence and chemistry to be throwing that stuff out there, and it's not even the point guard of the team who we think of as Booker, like they're really starting to click, I think. So this was an awesome example of that, I think, for sure.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to like what I said just about the firepower this offense has. Like they can just it's similar to, and we haven't even seen it yet at full strength. I still think there's chemistry things they're working on, but it's like it really has the potential to be like that deadly Golden State team where they just all of a sudden you blink your eye, they're up, they're up by 6, and then all of a sudden they're up by 26, like within a couple minutes. So I think we've already seen that in flashes this year, and it's only going to get better as long as they stay healthy. Like there's too much talent for it not to work. Like we knew this was going to happen. We knew they're going to figure it out as long as they got the reps. The biggest questions have always been like, are they going to stay on the court? And right now we're seeing what I think has a potential to be one of the best offenses in Suns history and potentially one of the best in NBA history once they really figure it out. Because the scary part is they're not even hitting full stride yet. Once they hit full stride, just look out. It's going to be awesome. But again, comes with a huge disclaimer of health, because they're going to need to get as familiar as possible with each other to do some of the stuff you said, like that risky pass from Beal, and just try different things and really just kind of push the needle offensively. Because right now I feel like they're almost being a little too cautious or selfless at times. Like, Beal, you have the green light, dude. Just shoot it. Sometimes I feel like he's almost too passive. But yeah, once they really develop that chemistry and everything really starts to click, it's probably not even going to happen until the end of this season or maybe even next season, honestly, because that's how long this stuff can take at times.
Yeah,
which is probably not what you want to hear, but once that clicks, it's going to be so much more fun.
Well, look, it's basically what I was discussing on Wednesday's show, which is the first part of the season, we couldn't even ask questions because we didn't know what the questions were. We didn't know what the team was. Now we can ask them, and the rest of the season is about the team answering them, right? And I think the Suns are kind of, just every night you're seeing that. They're asking, can we do this? Can we execute that? Can these guys play together? And for 7 straight games now, the answer has mostly been yes, outside of obviously some crazy lopsided quarters and things here and there. But yeah, this game had a 38-9 run for the Suns. I believe it might have even gotten higher than that, but that's the biggest that I saw posted somewhere. And this is now 4 straight games where one member of the Suns' big three has had 40-plus points. Booker in New Orleans, the back-to-back from KD, 46 from Book tonight. And the other guys have played well those games also. So it's definitely starting to show itself, and it's super fun to watch. Let's talk about Grant Williams versus Jusuf Nurkic, the rotation we saw tonight, and some few more odds and ends from this Suns W. First, today's show brought to you by Hungry Root. Whether you're braving the cold or dealing with crowds, grocery shopping this time of year is the worst. So why not stay home and let Hungry Root handle it? With Hungry Root, you can kickstart a week of healthy eating and get groceries delivered straight to your door. 3 things Hungry Root gives you. Saves you money, reduces waste because the portions are perfect and specified for you, and it saves you time. So you don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to make a list for the grocery store. You don't have to prep food. When you use our promo code LOCKEDON, you get 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Hungry Root is the easiest way to get fresh, high-quality food delivered to your door. They've got healthy groceries and simple recipes all in one place. To get started, you take a fun, short quiz. Hungry Root gets to know you, how you like to eat, what kitchen appliances you might have, and more. They then recommend recipes and groceries based on those tastes. You can either take their suggestions or just peruse for yourself and select things you want to eat. Hungry Root then goes beyond your weekly grocery haul with thousands of easy recipes that actually put those groceries to good use before they get forgotten or shoved to the back of the fridge. All that they want to do is make sure that it tastes good, is quick to make, and contains whole, trusted ingredients. So spend less time meal planning, shopping, and cooking, and more time enjoying healthy food with Hungry Root. Again, Hungry Root is offering Locked On Suns listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life when you go to hungryroot.com/lockedon. That's hungryroot.com/lockedon. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. Closing out the show, Brandon, let's do a Nurk report. I don't think there's ever been a better night for one than this. It's funny. I do the Locked On Suns Insider text alerts, which people can sign up for in the link in the show notes or at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSuns. And I talked about Grant Williams being ridiculous and probably going to be ejected. And then I'm subscribed for some reference points to our Locked On Mavs hosts subtext channel, and he put in his halftime takeaways how long until Jusuf Nurkic gets ejected. And then it happened. So what are your takeaways from one of the weirder scuffles that we've seen between Grant Williams and Jusuf Nurkic on the court tonight?
Hey man, it's NBA Rivals Week at its finest, right? This is what the people came to see: Grant Williams versus Jusuf Nurkic. It's
absolutely.
Look, Grant's a little bit of an instigator. Nurkic,
a little bit.
Yeah, he's kind of like a mellowed out Draymond, where like maybe like a Draymond Green on melatonin or something. Like just
sure.
He's a little reckless. He's not as reckless as Draymond or anything, but he's definitely tries to play that tough guy role and get under people's skin, which I think every team needs one of those. Suns don't really have one, but I think Nurkic is slowly kind of becoming that. We saw that tonight. Showing he had KD's back, and he commented on a video that I saw a screenshot of just back when Booker, when Grant Williams had Booker in a little bit of a chokehold. I think it was the Christmas game, I believe. And Nurkic just put like the note emoji, like noted. And so tonight, I think he was looking for any reason he could to go and shove Williams. And then after the little stare down when he bodied him and Williams flopped a little bit, I thought that was a perfect bait because he did just enough not to get a technical, but also to infuriate Grant. And he took the bait and just started yelling at the ref. And it worked beautifully. So shout out to Nurkic for, I think he played it as perfectly as he could to kind of set that up. So, you never know. Some refs are sensitive. He could have picked up a tee on that little stare down, but I'm glad they didn't. And Williams kind of started the whole thing by walking over Durant in the first place. So I think justice was served there.
I think the difference between Grant Williams and Jusuf Nurkic is that Nurk is in control of his emotions the whole time. Right? He knows what he's doing. Grant Williams, the reason that I just can't stand him when he gets going like that is he just, the initial we can start with, he is finally getting a starting opportunity on this team, right? I know Suns fans don't care about whether the Grant Williams signing works for the Mavs or not, but for him, he's back in the starting lineup. He's been benched for a while. Dante Exum's breathing over his shoulder because he's back healthy, and this is what he does to live up to that opportunity. Then in the second tech that he got, did he realize did he remember that he got the first tech? I don't think he could recall that he had a tech already because he was so dead set on screaming in this ref's face, which he knew he had to know was going to get him another technical, and did it anyway, which makes me think I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume he forgot.
Yeah, no, I liken it to road rage. Like he knew there was a cop behind him and someone cut him off or something earlier, and he was still just going at it. And that's always going to bite you in the butt there. And I think he got what he deserved. So you can't do that. Like, look, if he just plays on, Nurkic doesn't get a tee, he doesn't get a tee, and the game keeps going, but he lost his mind.
What do you think? So, because I heard either Breen or Doris say he wanted an offensive foul or defensive foul, whatever side of the court it was.
Yeah,
that's not what happened. Nurk definitely said something to him, and that's why he got mad, and he wanted Nurk to get some sort of punishment, and then he needed to, holler at the ref about that. What do you think Nurk said? Do you have any guesses?
Oh, I think it was just the stare down. I don't even think he had to say anything.
You don't think he said anything?
I don't. I might have to go back and look at it and see if I get an angle with the lip reading, and I'll be on that after this game. But I think, or after this show, but I think he bodied him a little bit and he kind of flopped. So Nurkic probably said something along the lines, if he did say something, it'd be like flopper or soft or something like that, and gave him a little stare, just enough to where he's on the ground being stared at, and that's all it took to kind of set him off.
11 minutes. Congratulations, Grant Williams. I said on the preview thing that Nurkic was going to have probably only 20 to 25 minutes. Luka is the type of player that can single-handedly play centers off the court, and that kind of did happen. But I said they were going to be very impactful. Rim protection at times. Okay, maybe not. Rebounding. And what we're learning, to your point, is also the kind of instigator stuff. And it was Eubanks with Drummond on Monday. And in this game, it was Nurkic. So, look, I'll take it. But let's go to a bench mob vibe check here as we continue to talk about how the game played out. We talked a lot about Okogie. He played more minutes in this one than he normally does because they figured out some ways to utilize him offensively, and obviously he did a lot of good things against Luka one-on-one. I thought, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, I know, but my own Kool-Aid. I literally made it, and I'm drinking it. But I think Keita Bates-Diop continues to string together some decent games here, and the fact that he played again tonight when guys haven't been able to hold on to rotation spots, am I crazy for being optimistic and letting myself believe in a bench player on this team when none of them have proven themselves?
A little bit. I just think the bar is so low, though, at the same time, that anytime someone shows the smallest flash of life, I think we as a fan base in general just kind of cling on to that. I'm guilty of it too, so I don't blame you at all. I still do not trust either of these guys. It was very encouraging. I think, going back to your point about using them as screeners, trying to find creative ways to get them involved and bring out the weak links defensively on the other side of the ball. That's important and all that. But I think I'm not going to say you're reaching here because it was encouraging, but at the same time, it's just kind of that's just how low the bar is for Suns role players at this point, that they look kind of okay for a few games and we're just sold to give them minutes. That's more about the Suns than it is you, though.
3 plays that stood out to me from him. The one you just mentioned, where he was a roller. He got blocked by Luka at the basket, whatever. Got it back, got a basket there. That's not just him being a screener, but then him actually being able to do something off of that. That's good to see. He attacked a closeout from the left corner, had the up and under layup. That's something where typically in previous games he would have either turned it over or just passed it to, hot potatoed it to somebody who wasn't really in the flow of the offense and bailed on the possession, basically killed the possession. He got the basket there. And then the pick 6 steal into a breakaway score was also good. It was funny though, because that's a signature Chimezie Metu play. He gets one of those every single time he plays. Metu had just stepped onto the court, and it was almost like it brushed off onto KBD because he got one in this case, but you'll take it. So I think him stringing together not just he looked decent in team defense or kept the ball moving really well or those very base level things. It's that he was actually contributing 11 points, 2 rebounds, offensive, assist, steal. That's pretty good. There's a lot of nights he's played and has had 0 across the board in the box score. So I'll take the little victories. Anything else that stood out from you in this game?
Yeah, I don't want to completely dismiss that because I do think it's important to highlight when these guys do step up. But at the same time, I feel like we've kind of seen this dance, just this rotating, just wheel of chairs going around, just with different guys kind of coming in and looking good for a few games and disappearing for weeks. So to me, it's just kind of solidifies that the big 3 works. What else are we going to get from everyone else? And it's just more of a cycle of that tonight. So I think Okogie and KBD definitely earn some more minutes for the next game. But at the same time, it's what other options do they really have? So, I'm not to get negative. I've been super positive this entire episode, but it's still just the one area that I think, if we're trying to build a championship team here, that's what has to be addressed. And I think it sooner than later will, hopefully. But until then, just keep trying to play these guys and either get their value up or get their confidence up, because they could use one of those 2 guys to become a staple in the rotation. Absolutely. I'm here for it. I've been on the Okogie train before. I've been hurt. I'm not trying to jump back on it too soon. So, we'll just kind of let that play out.
All right. That will wrap us up for the day. Enjoy your Thursday. We'll have one more episode for you to close out the week. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow.